Love is not what you think. For centuries, poets, philosophers, and even scientists have failed to crack its code. Why do we fall for certain people? Why do relationships crumble no matter how hard we try? And why does love leave so many of us feeling empty, lost, or trapped in the same painful patterns? Here's the shocking truth. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, revealed that people don't fall in love by accident. In fact, they're drawn to you for just two hidden reasons. Reasons buried deep in their unconscious mind. And if you don't understand these forces, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes, chasing illusions, and wondering why true love slips through your fingers. But today, that ends. In this video, you'll discover Jung's explosive secrets, the same insights that have transformed thousands of lives. You'll learn the invisible shadow controlling who you attract and why opposites magnetize. The dangerous illusion 99% of people mistake for love. It's destroying relationships right now. And the life-changing fix to break free from toxic cycles, starting today. But before we dive in, smash that subscribe button. Seriously, why risk missing what comes next? This channel is your shortcut to psychology-backed secrets most people never learn. Yet 97% of viewers watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of the crowd that stays stuck. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and join the 3% who transform their love lives for good. Carl Jung spoke of a fascinating concept: projection. According to him, when we meet someone and feel an instant, inexplicable attraction, what is truly happening is that we are projecting aspects of our own unconscious onto that person. In other words, we fall in love with what already exists within us on some level, but that we do not consciously recognize. Think about this. Have you ever been attracted to someone who embodies exactly what you wish to be? Perhaps a self-assured person with impressive inner strength, or a freedom you feel you lack. This is no coincidence. Jung would say that what attracts you to that person is a repressed part of yourself desperately seeking to come to light. This brings us to the first reason someone falls in love with you: because you represent something they lack but desperately need. Have you ever heard the phrase, opposites attract? Though it may sound cliché, there is psychological truth behind it. Jung believed every human has a hidden side called the shadow. This shadow contains everything we repress, everything we do not want to accept about ourselves but paradoxically seek in others. For example, a highly rational person might fall madly in love with someone emotional and spontaneous. An introverted individual might feel an irresistible attraction to an extroverted social person. In reality, what is happening is that the other person represents something the individual has repressed within themselves. It's as if our unconscious is saying, "There it is what I'm missing." But this is only the first reason. There is a second, equally powerful one, related to an even deeper concept in Jungian theory: the anima and animus. According to Jung, within every man exists an internal image of the feminine, which he called the anima, and within every woman, an internal image of the masculine, called the animus. These images are formed throughout life, starting from our experiences, especially in childhood. When we meet someone who embodies these internal characteristics, we feel an instant, irrational attraction. In other words, we fall in love because that person awakens something already existing within us. This is not about finding a soulmate, as fairy tales suggest, but rather resonating with a deep, unknown part of ourselves. Here lies the great irony of love. We do not fall in love with someone for who they truly are, but for what they represent to our psyche. However, a problem arises. If we fall in love with someone because we project a part of ourselves onto them, what happens when reality does not match the image we've created? This explains why many relationships that start with burning passion end in disappointment. When the illusion of projection fades, we realize the person we loved was not exactly as we imagined. We discover their flaws, fears, and weaknesses. At this point, we have two options: accept the real person with all that entails, or reject them and continue searching for someone else who fits our idealized image. The issue is that many people never break this cycle. They move from one relationship to another, always seeking someone to fill their void, complete their shadow, or fit perfectly into the image they've built in their unconscious. Jung invites us to do something different. Instead of seeking in others what we lack, we must work to integrate those parts within ourselves. If you are shy and attracted to extroverts, perhaps it's time to develop your own confidence. If you fall for a secure, independent people, ask yourself what aspects of your life make you feel dependent or insecure. According to Jung, love is not about finding someone to complete us, but discovering ourselves through our relationships. This leads us to a powerful conclusion. People fall in love with you for two reasons. Either you represent something they lack and yearn for in life, or you embody an internal image that already existed within them. But in the end, the true challenge is not just falling in love, but maintaining love when illusions disappear. The next time you wonder why someone fell in love with you, consider this. Are you a reflection of what they lack, or a reminder of something that already existed within their soul? Importantly, you fall in love for the same reasons. But love is not just about initial attraction. There is something far deeper at play, something Jung understood better than anyone: the process of individuation. According to Jung, humans are not born complete. We spend our lives trying to integrate the different parts of our being, balancing our light and shadow, developing what we lack, and understanding what we already have. Love, though it seems external, is actually a tool of our unconscious to accelerate this process. Think of it this way. Every person who enters your life and leaves an emotional mark is, in a sense, a teacher. They show you something about yourself you might not have discovered otherwise. They reflect your own insecurities, hidden fears, and deepest desires. This is why Jung said love can be both a transformative force and a dangerous trap. If you are not aware of your projections, you might spend your life falling for illusions, chasing shadows, believing love is something external when it has always been within you. Many people mistake true love for finding someone who meets all their expectations, fitting perfectly into their idea of an ideal partner. But in reality, the deepest love is not about filling voids. It's about helping you discover yourself. Look around. Observe your past relationships, your most intense crushes, the people who awakened uncontrollable emotions in you. What did they have in common? What part of you did they reflect? Ultimately, the big question is not why people fall in love with you, but what that means for your own inner journey. Love has many layers. What we see on the surface, attraction, chemistry, connection, is only a small part of what is truly happening psychologically and, emotionally. To understand why people fall in love with us and how our relationships work, we must look beyond the obvious. Jung gave us a fundamental key: the integration of our own psyche. This means we do not merely seek in others what we lack. Instead, we consciously choose people who will help us confront our own wounds. Falling in love is not just about desire or compatibility. It is a mechanism pushing us to grow. Why do some people repeat the same relationship patterns? Why does someone abandoned in childhood attract partners who end up distancing themselves? Why does someone afraid of vulnerability fall for people demanding intense emotional connection? The answer lies in what Jung called the original wound. We all carry a psychological wound formed in our early years, manifesting as fear of rejection, feelings of inadequacy, or difficulty trusting others. Though often unconscious, it influences our romantic choices more than we'd like to admit. If someone falls in love with you, they may unconsciously see you as a key piece in their healing process. Your way of being might remind them of something from their childhood that their psyche is trying to resolve, or their attraction to you might relate to a need to confront a deep fear or insecurity. But here's the crucial point. Just because someone falls in love with you for these reasons does not mean the relationship will be easy or healthy. In fact, the most intense, passionate relationships often cause the most pain precisely because they touch very deep wounds. Jung said love is one of the most powerful paths to personal transformation. When two people fall in love, they inevitably confront their own shadows. This is why many relationships that start with overwhelming intensity end in chaos and conflict. Love doesn't just bring out the best in us, it also reveals what we'd rather keep hidden. You might have experienced this. At the start of a relationship, everything feels perfect. You feel understood, in a way no one else has managed. But over time, conflicts, tensions, and seemingly irreconcilable differences arise. This is no coincidence. It is love's way of forcing us to evolve. Here is where many people fail. They mistake love for comfort, believing a relationship should always be easy and problem-free. But real love, as Jung described it, is not just about being with someone who makes us feel good. It's about being with someone who challenges us to become the best version of ourselves. Thus, people fall in love with you not only because they project onto you what they lack, but also because, in some way, you are meant to help them see a part of themselves they need to work on. This leads to an even more important question. What happens when love is unrequited? Here enters another rarely analyzed aspect of love, the idea of the other as a reflection of our psychological destiny. For Jung, every person we interact with, especially those with whom we form deep bonds, has a purpose in our evolution. It's no coincidence certain people enter our lives at specific times. Sometimes they mirror who we are in that moment. Other times, they preview who we might become. Imagine meeting someone whose confidence dazzles you. You might feel immediate attraction, as if they possess something you desire. But Jung would say this attraction isn't about the other person. It's about them showing you a version of yourself you haven't fully developed. The same applies to people who challenge us, bringing out our worst, testing our patience, or making us feel vulnerable. These relationships, though uncomfortable, are equally important. Jung called this the process of confronting the shadow. Our shadow contains everything we've repressed throughout life: fears, hidden desires, insecurities, and aspects of our personality we've learned to hide for societal acceptance. When we fall in love, our shadow activates. Love is not just an act of connection with another human. It's also a process of self-exploration. If a relationship provokes intense emotions, positive or negative, it's because it's touching parts of your unconscious needing integration. This is why some relationships transform us completely. After them, we are never the same, not because the other person changed, but because we've discovered something new about ourselves. There's another intriguing aspect of Jung's theory, the idea that the people who impact us most don't appear randomly. He spoke of synchronicity, the idea that certain encounters are not coincidences, but manifestations of a deeper universal order. You've likely experienced this, meeting someone exactly when you needed them, feeling an immediate connection with someone who seems to have been waiting on your path. From Jung's perspective, these connections are not mere coincidences. They are part of a personal evolution process. People fall in love with you because, on some level, their souls are seeking an experience only you can provide. It could be a lesson, a transformation, or the closing of a cycle. In turn, you also fall for people destined to teach you something about yourself. This leads to a fascinating idea. What happens when someone enters your life, awakens intense emotions, and then disappears? If you've ever experienced a fleeting but unforgettable love, a deep connection that couldn't continue, you've experienced synchronicity in its purest form. Jung would say that person wasn't meant to stay, but to leave you a message, something you needed to learn at that moment in your life. This is where many suffer. Most of us want love to be permanent, relationships to last forever. But Jung reminds us that love's true purpose is not permanence, but growth. Some people stay with you for life, others appear only briefly, but all leave a mark on your evolution. If people fall in love with us because we represent something they need on their journey, how can we become more conscious of this process? How can we use this knowledge to build more authentic, meaningful relationships? Love is not just a reflection of who we are, but also of who we might become. Every person entering our life carries a hidden message, a clue about something our unconscious is trying to show us. Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the path toward total integration of our being. To achieve this, we must go through phases of self-discovery, and relationships are one of the most powerful tools to accelerate this process. If you pay attention, you'll notice every love you've experienced has brought a different part of you to light. One relationship taught you strength, another showed your capacity for devotion, another forced you to face your deepest fears. Even more intriguingly, not everyone who falls in love with you does so for the same reasons. Depending on your life stage, you attract different types of people. If you're in a growth period, you'll likely attract someone challenging you to go further. If you're in a phase of insecurity, you might attract someone reinforcing those fears, forcing you to confront them. This is where many get confused. They think relationships are mere coincidences, or that love is a matter of luck. But if you analyze your life closely, you'll see a pattern. The people who've entered your path have been reflections of your internal state. What you attract aligns with what your psyche needed to experience at that moment. This is why some relationships feel inevitable, almost predestined. It's not magic or fate in a supernatural sense. It's the manifestation of unconscious processes seeking balance. When someone falls in love with you, they aren't just seeing your surface self, but what you represent on a deeper level. You might be an echo of their past, a symbol of their future, or an opportunity to confront something they've avoided. But this brings us to a fundamental, rarely discussed aspect: the fear of love. Why do some people feel intense attraction but flee? Why do others seem unable to maintain stable relationships despite deeply desiring love? Jung's answer is clear: fear of transformation. True love changes us. It forces us to see parts of ourselves we might not want to face. It makes us vulnerable, demands trust, relinquishes control, and opens us to another person with no guarantee we won't be hurt. Many people, though not consciously aware, aren't ready for this transformation. This is why some relationships never materialize despite strong attraction, why some seem trapped in self-sabotage, pushing love away just as it's about to be experienced authentically. The problem isn't a lack of love, but fear of what love might stir within us. Jung explained that the only way to overcome these fears is through individuation, integrating all parts of our being, including those we've rejected. To do this, we must first recognize our patterns. Ask, why am I attracted to certain types of people? What relationship patterns have I repeated? What emotions arise when someone gets too close? This is difficult work requiring us to confront our wounds, but it's necessary if we want authentic love. Many seek love as an escape, hoping a relationship will fill an internal void. But true love doesn't work that way. Instead of filling voids, it exposes them. Instead of giving immediate security, it challenges us to build it within ourselves. Thus, people fall in love with us not just for who we are superficially, but for the energy we project. If we're in a state of fear, we'll attract people reinforcing that fear. If we're growing, we'll attract those helping us evolve. This explains why some relationships feel like lessons disguised as love. Some people enter our lives not to stay, but to teach us something essential. Others appear when we're ready for something deeper and lasting. Another key concept in Jung's theory is the integration of the anima and animus. The anima is the feminine within men, and the animus is the masculine within women. According to Jung, every human carries a blend of both energies, and how we relate to others reflects how integrated these energies are within us. When someone hasn't integrated their anima or animus, they project it onto others. For example, a man rejecting his emotional side might be drawn to highly sensitive women, while a woman fearing her independence might be attracted to dominant, self-assured men. The problem arises when these projections create dependency. If someone places in their partner everything they haven't developed within themselves, the relationship becomes a transaction where each depends on the other to feel complete. This isn't authentic love. It stems from lack, not integration. Jung emphasized the importance of self-awareness in relationships. The more conscious we are of our psyche, the less we project onto others, and the freer we are to love without fear or dependency. But how do we distinguish between a relationship based on projection and one based on authentic love? The difference lies in how the relationship makes us feel. Projection-based relationships generate anxiety, insecurity, and fear of loss. Authentic love fosters growth and a sense of wholeness that doesn't depend on the other, but on what we've developed within ourselves. Many confuse intensity with love, believing turbulent relationships are more real than stable, calm ones. But Jung teaches that true love isn't an emotional roller coaster. It's a space of mutual transformation where both people can evolve without fear. This leads to a fundamental truth. Love is not something we find in another person. It's something we discover within ourselves. The more we know ourselves, the more capable we are of attracting relationships reflecting our inner state. People fall in love with us not just for who we are, but for what we represent in their journey of self-discovery. In turn, we fall for those who help us see parts of ourselves we haven't yet recognized. It's a play of mirrors, a labyrinth of projections and lessons. But ultimately, love is the path to total integration of our being. Love manifests in unexpected ways. In every story, an invisible thread connects our past and present experiences. If we observe carefully, we see patterns in how people enter our lives. It's not random, it's resonance. Jung's concept of synchronicity explains that certain events aren't causally linked, but hold deep meaning. When two people feel instant attraction, their unconscious minds may recognize something in each other before their conscious minds do. Perhaps their internal archetypes align, or shared experiences prepared them for that encounter. Not all intense connections are meant to last. Some people enter our lives solely to catalyze change. They spark transformation but fade once their purpose is fulfilled. This can be painful, as the rational mind seeks stability. But Jung teaches that clinging to what's completed only breeds suffering. Through individuation, we understand love isn't about finding completion, but self-discovery. We stop resisting life's natural changes. Some fall for us not because we're their perfect match, but because they see an opportunity for evolution. Similarly, we're drawn to those offering a mirror to hidden parts of our psyche. These connections can be harmonious, leading to mutual growth, or chaotic, forcing us to confront ignored aspects of ourselves. For example, someone repressing creativity for years might feel irresistibly drawn to a free-spirited person, experiencing admiration mixed with envy, a projection of their repressed self. Love here isn't just connection, but a call to integrate forgotten parts of our identity. Some relationships shake us to the core, leaving indelible marks and forcing growth. However, not all relationships are destined for turbulence. When two people work on self-awareness, love becomes a space of expansion, not constant struggle. How we experience love relates directly to our consciousness level. The more self-aware we are, the more we attract nurturing relationships instead of repeating old traumas. Yet love cannot be reduced to formulas. The most powerful connections defy logic, resonating with truths only the heart understands. Love isn't a destination, but a journey. Each person leaves a lesson, whether through pleasure or pain. The more open we are to learning, the more we experience love in its purest form, not as a need to complete ourselves, but as a celebration of who we already are. From Jung's perspective, love transcends superficial attraction. It's a transformational process where every encounter acts as a portal to deeper self-understanding. We fall in love not for obvious reasons, looks, charm, intelligence, but because the other reflects what we need to integrate. A person raised to be logical might fall for someone spontaneous, not consciously seeking that trait, but because their unconscious recognizes a lost part of themselves. Such attractions can spark inner conflict, but invite growth and reconciliation with our shadow. Not everyone is ready to integrate what love reveals. Confronted with their shadow, some retreat or sabotage relationships. Those craving freedom might choose controlling partners. Those fearing loneliness might unconsciously seek abandonment. This happens because the unconscious seeks familiarity, not happiness. If love was linked to suffering in childhood, that pattern repeats. Jung believed breaking these cycles starts with awareness. Recognizing our patterns allows us to transform them, though it requires courage to question deep-seated beliefs and embrace new ways of loving. Many discover their ideal type was a projection of lack. They realize they seek companions, not completions. Love shifts from dependency to authentic connection. Another fascinating aspect is the role of archetypes. Jung identified universal patterns influencing our psyche and relationships. The lover archetype drives passion and union. The hero conquers obstacles. The sage sees love as self-discovery. Each person activates different archetypes, challenging us to mature or confront healed wounds. Often, the most significant relationships aren't consciously chosen. They feel destined, as if the collective unconscious guides us. These connections, brief or lifelong, leave imprints through psychological alchemy, transforming our essence. Love catalyzes this alchemy. We fall not for beauty or compatibility, but because the other offers a chance to become our best selves, showing what we need to see, even if we resist it. Love is dynamic. What we feel today evolves tomorrow. What we seek in a partner changes as we grow. It's a reminder that love can't be fully possessed or controlled. It's a constant flow of discovery, a dialogue between psyches. Ultimately, people fall in love with you for two fundamental reasons. You reflect their yearnings, and you awaken a part of themselves waiting to be recognized.